Former child television star Todd Bridges has been arrested on drug charges. Bridges was charged with possession of amphetamines and an illegal handgun. The one-time star of the TV sitcom Diff'rent Strokes has described himself as a recovering cocaine addict. He was acquitted in 1989 of shooting a drug dealer in an LA crack house.
Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two, they got nothing but the genes, but they got different strokes it takes, different strokes it takes, different strokes to move the world. Everybody's got a special kind of story. Everybody finds a way to shine. It don't matter that you got not a lot. So what? They'll have theirs and you'll have yours and I'll have mine. And together we'll be fine. 'Cause it takes different strokes to move the world. Yes, it does. It takes different strokes to move the world.
Turning to Hollywood, after a troubled career, child actress Dana Plato has died. Best known for her role on Diff'rent Strokes, Plato died Saturday of an overdose just days after denying she used drugs. Dana Plato was 34 years old.
In other news, there is new information on the death of Diff'rent Strokes star Dana Plato. 2 weeks ago, the former child star took an overdose of painkillers. And yesterday, the medical examiner's office ruled Plato's death a suicide based on the amount of drugs she'd taken and her troubled history. And finally, getting back to...
Actor Gary Coleman has filed for bankruptcy as well. Star of Diff'rent Strokes, he was once TV's highest paid actor. But medical problems, mismanagement, and a lawsuit all drained his finances. And
the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two, they got nothing but the genes, but they got different strokes it takes, different strokes it takes, different strokes to move the world. Everybody's got a special kind of story. Everybody finds a way to shine. It don't matter that you got not a lot. So what? They'll have theirs and you'll have yours and I'll have mine. And together we'll be fine. 'Cause it takes different strokes to move the world. Yes, it does. It takes different strokes to move the world.
Secret is revealed this Valentine's Day. Gary Coleman has found love. He spoke exclusively to Inside Edition. The child actor got married last year and kept it under wraps until now. Hattie Kaufman reports.
We got married on a mountaintop.
At 40 years old, Gary Coleman married the love of his life. They met on the set of the movie Church Ball. Shannon Price was an extra.
Just the fact that he was nice and complimented me, I thought was cool because not a lot of guys are honest with their compliments now.
Incredibly, Shannon had never heard of Coleman, had never seen the TV show Diff'rent Strokes.
What you talking about, Willis?
They are the unlikeliest of couples. She's almost 20 years younger and nearly a foot taller.
You are what I wish I could be.
Well,
An unknown, private person that nobody is going to mess with or want to mess with or try and pry into your life to figure out what makes you tick.
well, and I just want my own identity as well because I don't want to be known as Gary Coleman's wife.
I wouldn't want that in a million years.
After 2 years of dating, they wed 6 months ago, and it's been a secret until now. This is his first relationship.
I never got the opportunity to be romantic or feel romantic with anyone because before Shannon, no.
Hi, everybody.
But like so many child stars, Coleman's had a difficult adult life. Roles dried up after Diff'rent Strokes. He's had trouble with the law, was forced to file for bankruptcy, and has serious health problems.
Needed to fix my car. Didn't have the deductible. Didn't have the cash.
These days, he does mostly commercials and still struggles financially.
My job is to keep working so I can take care of my wife, keep my home, keep my cars.
A peaceful home life is a challenge.
Well, he throws things around and sometimes he throws it in my direction. But
Don't mean to, don't want to.
You threw the printer today?
Yeah, I threw the printer because my agent wanted to send me a fax and it wouldn't fax.
He has lots of reasons to be angry, including, ironically, the very role that made him a star.
I'm stuck with this grade B sitcom that I did, and I have always known that I can do better. And everybody in this whole world and in the industry thinks I'm just one joke after another, and it just really rankles me when people treat me as a joke, because there's no reason for it.
But despite all the troubles, Coleman and his bride are determined to make it work.
I invited this person into my life, and I invited this person to share my life with me. So I have to try and do whatever it is I can do, or should be doing, to ensure that she's happy and comfortable and safe.
For The Early Show, Hattie Kaufman, CBS News, Hollywood.
You can see more of Gary Coleman's interview tonight on our sister broadcast, Inside Edition. Now over to Harry and the Speedos.
All right, thanks. Speedo is celebrating its 80th anniversary with a new...
by doing what he loved. And former child actor Gary Coleman is taking a different path to his divorce. The star of Diff'rent Strokes and his wife of 8 months, Shannon Price, have recorded an appearance on divorce court to settle their split. Coleman told Judge Lynn Toller that he and his wife have regular, huge arguments.
What happened on this last ugly one that you usually have once a month?
Well, they're all different, but
Okay.
they're all centered around me. You know, the male is always the bad guy. The male is the one that's causing all the problems.
Mrs. Price, let's talk about
The Coleman's divorce will be featured on divorce courts in May. It is now 8:34. Time to go back to Harry and Dave.
Thank you.
All right.
Actor Gary Coleman is in critical condition this morning at a Utah hospital. His family describes it only as a serious medical problem. The 42-year-old Coleman is best known for the 1970s TV series Diff'rent Strokes. He suffered a seizure earlier this year and has had heart surgery and 2 kidney transplants. And an American
Actor Gary Coleman is in critical condition this morning at a hospital in Utah. His family describes it only as a serious medical problem. The 42-year-old Coleman is best known for his role in the 1970s TV series Diff'rent Strokes. He suffered a seizure earlier this year and has had heart surgery and at least 2 kidney transplants.
42-year-old Gary Coleman died of a brain hemorrhage in a Utah hospital on Friday. The Diff'rent Strokes star battled health problems all his life and as an adult fought emotional demons as well. His Utah attorney, Randy Kestner, knew the personal side of Gary Coleman, the Coleman that left Hollywood for a small town of less than 10,000 in the state of Utah. He joins us exclusively from our studio in Salt Lake City. Randy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Can I just ask you, what's it been like the last 24, 48 hours with news of Gary's demise and then yesterday the news of his death? What has the response been? What's the reaction been?
Well, I was just discussing with the people here in the studio. He's had prior health problems, and so it wasn't until probably late morning that we really came to sense that it was a crisis situation rather than just, you know, some other routine medical treatment. And then following his death, of course, we were just bombarded. Had an opportunity to visit with people we had never met before. So,
have you had a chance to speak to either his wife Sharon, his mom, and how are they doing? It's got to be difficult, I'm sure, for all the parties involved.
I think Shannon's pretty preoccupied right now, trying to deal with a lot of things. But I did speak to Gary's mom, Sue. We spoke for probably 15 or 20 minutes, and I expressed my condolences, and she's doing okay, as any mother would. She's just devastated. She's going to miss him, and but she seemed to be doing okay.
Gary, like you mentioned, had several medical issues. Did anyone see this coming? I mean, had he been in even poorer health the past few months or weeks?
I think his health's pretty much been declining for probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 months. He's just had a number of difficulties. Even doing interviews, I think in California on another program, he had a seizure, and so it's been just sort of an ongoing decline. He has dialysis on a frequent basis, and but I don't think any of us saw this coming.
Randy, you've had a chance to see, and I'm sure like most of us, a lot of us grew up and saw Gary at his best, the adorable child star, but we've also seen, Gary the last couple of years at his worst, seemed to be battling a lot of inner demons. It genuinely, I think, just seemed angry. What was it? Why did he take a turn, or was there a point in his life where you saw him take a turn?
I think he had just reached the point. He's been at this for so many years that my sense was, even when I first met him, he had a sense, I think, of a little bit of mistrust and felt that a lot of people who were involved in his life were just there to ride his coattails. And So he was a little mistrustful of people, and I think as he got older, he just sort of mellowed a little bit. At least to me, I saw a change in his attitude in terms of he just wanted more privacy. He didn't want to be in the press. He didn't want to be in public. And once I got to know him, I saw just an enjoyable, pleasant side to Gary. He was actually quite humorous sometimes. I enjoyed my association with him.
Did you ever feel a little sorry for him? He was quoted as saying he wanted to be seen as more than just Arnold Jackson, as more than just a punchline.
Well, there was a personal side to Gary. He and I joked a lot of times. Even one time in a serious situation, we were going to court, and he had his cowboy boots on and his pants tucked down inside, and I asked him if he didn't want to pull those out, and he said, "No, it makes me look taller when I have my pants tucked in." But on the other hand, he and Shannon were doing some improvements on their home, and he had a huge railroad set down in his basement that was probably, probably 50 to 80 feet in diameter. A huge railroad set. He had all these little cars and sets that he'd put on his railroad set, and just had fun. I think if he had his ideal day, he'd sleep in and play with his railroad cars all day and not have to be in public.
Yeah. Well, it's a big loss for a number of people who, like I said, grew up watching Gary and were big fans of his, and we thank you for taking the time. We know you were a personal friend of his as well, so we appreciate you talking to us about him.
Thank you. It's grateful. We're grateful for you to give us the opportunity to get that personal side of him out, because the public just didn't get to see that much, but there really was a gentle personal side to Gary.
All right, Randy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Rebecca, let's go over to you.
Thanks, Chris. Just ahead, guess where?